Over the course of the last few months, there have been multiple skirmishes between the Houthi rebels and the US Navy in the Red Sea. These attacks are presumably said to have been orchestrated by certain forces in Iran. In hindsight, this seems like an extension of the issues in Israel. Who exactly are the Houthi rebels? What are their objectives? And what made them openly pick a fight with the naval powerhouse of the world maritime forces? The Houthi Rebels originally came into being as a movement opposing the president of Yemen, Abdullah Saleh, who was accused of being corrupted and influenced by Saudi Arabia and the United States. Over the years, they have grown into a force to be reckoned with, armed with sophisticated weapons and swift military expertise. December 2023. The Houthi rebels fired ballistic missiles and struck down 3 commercial ships. The US Navy, in retaliation, shot down 3 drones in self-defense during the attack. This marked the start of a series of back-and-forth assaults in the maritime scene, which was also linked to the Israel-Hamas war. The Houthi rebels had daringly started attacking the Navy forces at sea, wielding unprecedented great firepower. What are the consequences of their actions, and what are the implications of such disturbances? Before we dive into these analyses, hit the subscribe button below and do give a thumbs up. Now, despite the Houthi rebels having shown unexpected capabilities, it was not quite enough to overwhelm the leading forces of the maritime world. The US Navy responded swiftly to distress calls and shot down 2 anti-ship missiles directed towards a Singapore-flagged container ship. 10 hours later, the same ship made a second distress call saying they were under attack by 4 small boats by the Houthi rebels, armed with guns. The rebels fired small arms and attempted to board the vessel. The US Navy intercepted the attack on a helicopter. Despite warnings, the rebels fired at the helicopter. This resulted in the US Navy helicopter to counterattack in self-defense, sinking 3 of the 4 small boats, killing its crew. The last boat fled the scene. The US forces received no damage to life or equipment. The rebel group expressed that 10 of their members were dead or missing after the US Navy attacked them. In the first place, they claimed they attacked the vessel for not heeding their warnings calls. Their goal can be traced towards the Israel and Hamas war. Their main target is to take down ships with cargo and supplies for the war. They actively target vessels that may potentially change the course of the war for the cause of the Palestinians in Gaza. In lieu of their strike, several shipping lines have suspended their routes. Business and alike are either kept on hold or forced to take the longer roundabout way around Africa. It should be noted that this route comprises 12% of the whole global trade. In attention to this huge percentage, the US initiated a multinational task force called Operation Prosperity Guardian to protect the Red Sea transit route. They have intercepted a number of attacks since then. Just last week alone, the Houthi rebels have successfully attacked 2 US-operated vessels in the Red Sea. Despite various steps in counterattack, the rebel group seems to show no sign of stopping their attacks. The US military has declared them as a terrorist group and started carrying out fresh strikes. So far, they have destroyed 14 Houthi missiles and allegedly saved numerous vessels from imminent threat. They plan to show no signs of stopping the attacks on the terrorist group. The Houthi, on the other hand, are firmly united on their stand to support the war in Israel. If the American and British forces were against their operations, they would extend their attacks to US ships. Their attacks on ships heading to Israel would continue, and no one's influence would affect their stand. The Houthi rebels began their attack on 19th November 2023. Since then, they have completed at least 27 attacks. What are the consequences and impacts that these attacks have resulted into? This trade route is home to 12% of the total global trade economy, quite a significant amount. The assaults have triggered huge implications to the global market. It has been estimated to have incurred a gross total of $200 billion worth of commodities diverted due to the Houthi attacks. It has caused huge loss and economic distress in Europe and Asia. On the other hand, there is also an increasing concern about the socio-political power dynamics of the local groups. The tension between small groups is further complicated by the participation of third-party bodies, such as Saudi Arabia, America. What is considered to be a small power struggle could potentially turn into something big and spiral into a civil war of such a large scale. Millions of Yemenis are left to the brink of extreme poverty and famine with this crisis. The capabilities and existing maritime warriors and the global authority is questioned with such assaults and may blow the whole thing into something even bigger than just an economic crisis. The Houthi rebels may capture the minds of the people, creating some sort of a heroic image while doing so. It may as well act as an inspiration at some point and lead to the rise of new movements and groups. Such a situation would be catastrophic, with people taking matters into their own hands, ideals clashing every nook and corner. On the other hand, this has become a heavy weight to carry on the talks about diplomacy. In such a time when a new balance of powers are being established in the Middle East, the Houthi rebels are posing a huge threat to existing peace talks. This assault on cargo ships not only implicated hard times on Israel. Large corporate groups such as the MSC are avoiding this route, expending more energy, resources, and time in doing so. This will be ultimately reflected on the global market. Plus, it would give a strain on the already weak supply of Israel. Furthermore, the probability of assault greatly increases the insurance cost for the shipments. Of course, this will also reflect on the market, thereby creating inconvenience for the consumers. This event highlights the significance of the Red Sea in the global market. In an effort to put a stop and stabilize the situation of this maritime region, the United States initiated a team to intercept the Houthi rebels. Joined by 10 other nations, this team is diligently intercepting the assaults, striking down missiles and gunmen. The vulnerability of maritime trade channels has once again been reminded to the world, although there is denying that sea transport is the cornerstone of the global economy. Therefore, it is essential to sustain this task force to ensure freedom of navigation in maritime commerce. The sea should be an open and free place. By enforcing this task force to control the Houthi attacks, they aim to stabilize the economic situation of various nations, which has been jeopardized by the recent attacks over the past few months. This coalition is not just a force to fight against the Houthi rebels. It is a symbol of unity and strength against any threats that seek to destroy the peace and thriving economy. Be that as it may, the forces are having a rough time destroying the Houthi forces. The reason being, they are coexisting with the public, and it is increasingly difficult to segregate them. Any hasty decision may backfire and threaten the unity of these nations. In conclusion, it is imperative that the task force treads on carefully, but at the same time respond to distress calls swiftly. They are there to make sure that the shipments are delivered safely and maintain the global trade and commerce route of the Red Sea. In essence, they act as the beacon of authority who enforces and upholds the maritime laws. That way, proper order shall be established, and these routes shall be free and fair to everyone. Not just the Houthi rebels assault, the U.S. Navy seeks to intercept any group who intends to impede the free spirit of the ocean.